fans, thank you so much. We appreciate you. So good.
You've killed them.
Because that's football, isn't it, at the end of the day? Should they have been more clinical, Martin?
No, I thought they understood what they were up against. A Leverkusen team, which we talked about, 37 games away from home that they went unbeaten until the start of this season. So they knew what they were about. I just think he's, listening to him as a manager now in terms of how he is. He's very demanding, but he's got this super balance of belief and respect for his players, and it's going to be some difficult decisions coming up at the weekend. But because of that love for the players, and he understands he's got a path for every player, that kind of sorts itself out, and that respect is retained. But there will be one or two at the weekend. But also they've been mature about sitting on the bench. Sometimes people have been sat there, Martinelli sitting on the bench, he's come off and scored some remarkable goals. And then you might say that at the start of the season, yeah, I can buy into these new players, and it's getting more difficult to get in the team. But then it's another thing delivering. So he's got that balance, beautiful at the moment, where everyone he brings in comes in and raises the bar. And it's very difficult for him now to pick this 11 at the week.
Do you really? Because the challenge, they only get harder. The later you go into these competitions, there will be bigger challenges than this team tonight.
Yeah, I disagree respectfully. I think they do need to be more clinical. I think Declan said it as well. When you get these opportunities, you maybe see other teams that have played in the competition already tonight, clinical, they're ruthless. When they get into that final third, bang, it's that instinct, cutthroat. And I think Arsenal have done a great job. I said to you, I was confident. I knew they would get through. I thought they'd be the better team, they'd be stronger, they're physical. But as you said, the better teams that you play at the real top tier of European football, it only takes one moment, and they have to take them, Arsenal. And that's my only criticism. They're finding a way. They're in a great position on 4 competitions. But that last little bit in the finals, it's going to be those moments.
And they will come up against some big European teams eventually. Let's have a little look at the bracket. We know that Arsenal are on the favourable side of the draw, because if you look on the monsters over there, quite interestingly tonight, Manchester City went out of the Champions League at the hands of Real Madrid. They lost 2-1 at the Etihad. We'll speak to you more about that a little bit later on. Obviously, Chelsea were well beaten by PSG across those 2 legs. And then Liverpool playing tomorrow will take you across that one too. But Arsenal's side of the draw, Martin, Sporting next. And then obviously you can see there between Newcastle, Barcelona, Atletico and Spurs, those opponents are the potentials if they can get through Sporting.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that side of the draw. The other side of the draw, there's 30-odd winners of the Champions League. There's only Barcelona, really, who've won that. They'll be feeling that they're the strong team to get through. But I think Newcastle could...
We got told to give you guys a nice big welcome, and Jamie went so literal with it. Hello. Yes. Hi, everyone. Good to have you with us. Let's start by talking about Arsenal against Leverkusen. Arsenal at home for the second leg of this tie, and they end up getting the 3-1 win on aggregate. Do you want to talk us through the highlights, TT?
Yes, like I said to you earlier on, very Arsenal-like the way the game went. We're waiting for the highlights, obviously, before I talk, but, people are a bit slow to... Trossard again, save, kind of a weird situation there in the box that the goalkeeper will block. It wasn't that clear at times, but what was clean and clear was the strike of Eze. Wow. Ooh. Look at that, the way it swivels, bang. What a strike. That's his first goal ever in the Champions League. And he's letting us know.
What's that feeling like when you hit a ball like that?
Ooh, great feeling. Especially if that's your first goal, that will be, you will always remember that. But that you can see that's what he wanted to do. It swivels, he reacts well from it. And to be able to go over the ball there, he had to jump. You see at one point, both feet will be in the air. He has to make sure that he can guide it in goal. But the power that it did generate from that was pretty good.
Good feeling, Clint? I wasn't asking you.
There's no better feeling than scoring big goals, and the way that he took that. I mean, as soon as he left his foot, he knew it was going in, and cool celebration, popping his collar a little bit, letting everybody know, and it's only going to help them as they move forward. They got a big match versus Man City. cup final, and we'll see what happens.
Yes, cup final at the weekend. Carabao Cup final. Jamie, you want to talk us through 2-0 for Declan Rice?
Yes, Declan Rice, he loves this competition, doesn't he? In terms of scoring goals, we remember there's 2 brilliant goals last season against Real Madrid. This not as good, but still a fantastic finish. He's always getting asked to get more goals, but it's great power, drive, running forward. And as Thierry always says with an effort like this, it wasn't in until it was in. 2-0.
We're actually hoping to speak to Declan Rice, by the way, everybody, very shortly in this show.
And something that David Raya does in every single game, once or twice. I mean, this guy, I think should be in the contention to be player of the season, because what he does for Arsenal every single time, and it's very difficult to see what a goalkeeper does sometimes, because he cannot make you win the game, right? Surely he cannot make you, he can hope that you're not losing it by making saves, but he does that like 2 to 3 times every single games. It's just outstanding. So, someone was yawning over it.
I mean,
I guess, do Arsenal look at this and think we have a relatively... they're certainly on the right side of the bracket, aren't they, in terms of what could come next, which would be the winner of Bodo Sporting, which was Sporting tonight, but rather that than some of the other quarterfinals that we're potentially looking at with Bayern against Manchester City. Real Madrid, sorry.
With all due respect, you always look at the side of the bracket and you go like, that looks a tiny bit better. You still have to win those games, and being in all the competitions, Jamie will tell you that it's not always easy to manage that. You have the Carabao Cup, then you have you're battling against City. Yes, I know there is a tiny bit of better point difference between the two teams at the moment, but being able to play in every single competition, it's tiring mentally at times. I'll be honest with it, but no disrespect to I'm looking at those. That's why I'm turning, because it came on the City, where you keep on fighting against them to try to win the league once again this year. And I don't know what do you think, Jimmy? I was just thinking on the top of my head, how much impact do you think that's going to have on the title race on Sunday?
I just think the gap they've got right now is a real good buffer. I said a few weeks ago I thought this could have a huge impact psychologically, especially for Arsenal, negatively or positively. I don't think it affects City if they lost or not. They're not so desperate for the trophy. They've won so much, and if they lost the cup final, probably we've lost the cup final. I think for Arsenal, there's still probably a lot riding on it. They'll want to just get their hands on a piece of silverware. We're talking about them going for the quadruple here, but until you've got something in your hand, it means nothing. And this is the first opportunity. So the weekend will, I think, play a real sort of have a big impact, I think, for Arsenal. I think it'll be a real downer for them if they don't sort of get their hands on it, because even though we all believe they've got the title virtually, when you're inside it, you never feel like, you always feel like something's going to go wrong. So they'll have that real fear. So, Manchester City can scare them, shall we say, at the weekend. But I think Arsenal will go on to sort of win the Premier League title. But City going out, Arsenal we expect to get to at least the semi-final as well. So that'll cause a problem as well with the Premier League games.
Also, City being out of I'm just thinking, because if you go far, deep in the Champions League,
Rotation.
Then City don't have the Champions League anymore. That can have a little impact
as well.
But, let's see.
Carabao Cup final, after what we saw today, those 2 results for Arsenal and for City, do you think that plays any kind of role whatsoever in that final at the weekend, or none?
I mean, I was impressed with the fight the City showed, dealing with the circumstances they had. I was impressed with how they came out in the game, especially the first.
For Arsenal, negatively or positively, I don't think it affects City if they lost or not. They're not so desperate for the trophy. They've won so much, and if they lost the cup final, probably we've lost the cup final. I think for Arsenal, there's still probably a lot riding on it. They'll want to just get their hands on a piece of silverware. We're talking about them going for the quadruple here, but until you've got something in your hand, it means nothing. And this is the first opportunity. So the weekend will, I think, play a real sort of have a big impact, I think, for Arsenal. I think it'll be a real downer for them if they don't sort of get their hands on it, because even though we all believe they've got the title virtually, when you're inside it, you never feel like, you always feel like something's going to go wrong. So they'll have that real fear. So, Manchester City can scare them, shall we say, at the weekend. But I think Arsenal will go on to sort of win the Premier League title. But City going out, Arsenal we expect to get to at least the semi-final as well. So that'll cause a problem as well with the Premier League games.
Also, City being out of the, I'm just thinking, because if you go far, deep in the Champions League,
Rotation.
then City don't have the Champions League anymore. That can have a little
An
impact
effect as well.
But, let's see.
Carabao Cup final, after what we saw today, those two results for Arsenal and for City, do you think that plays any kind of role whatsoever in that final at the weekend or none?
I mean, I was impressed with the fight the City showed, dealing with the circumstances they had. I was impressed with how they came out in the game, especially the first